Welcome to Tuesdays at 2. It's Melinda here with the Coaches Console, and we've got a great topic today. Today's topic is all about your domain name. And specifically, in the first half of today's training, I want to cover two main points. We're going to talk about those of you that are going to use Coaches Console as your standalone website, your marketing website. So those of you that are just getting started, and I'm going to show you how you can set up your URL and give you some information about that. And then I'm going to talk to those of you that have a registered domain name, but no content on that website. It's simply a registered domain name like www.melindacohen.com. But if somebody were to type that in, they wouldn't go anywhere. So I want to talk to you about those of you that have a registered domain name and redirecting that, because you're actually going to put all your content on your Coaches Console website. So really the focus of the first half of the training is for everybody that is using their Coaches Console website as their public marketing website, for good or for now, okay? And then what we do is we'll go through today's topic in the first half of the training, and then in the second half of the training, we're going to open it up just to general Q&A. Whatever questions you have, whether it's related to today's topic or something else, you can bring it up, and we'll walk through it together. So we usually cover that in the second part of the training, all right? And Elizabeth just asked, are the Monday Q&A sessions recorded as well? They sure are. We do record everything for everybody because we know, you might have clients that you're working with or other stuff that's going on, and that way you can access the recordings for any of our trainings at any time you need to. Okay, so just a quick recap. I'm going to show everything in version 3. That's what you're seeing on the screen. For boot campers, this is the version that you have in your console system. So it's the system that you work with. For our existing members, which we have many on the line today, we are right at the beginning of rolling out version 3. Some of them have it. A lot of them are going to start getting it next week, and we're going to begin phasing in this new version over the next several weeks and months to come. So I'm going to show you everything in version 3. For you existing console members, we can also walk through stuff in version 2 if you need to. So just let me know and we can do a little bit of back and forth, okay? Okay, let me just show you in your console system, you have the website module. This is where you can customize your website theme. Like you'll see, you can preview and customize, you can add your logo, you can add header images, you can add and customize the background color. I'm not going to go through all of that today. There's other trainings in the support center that walk you through that. We're going to be going through that in boot camp as well. But this is where you customize your website, right? And so for those of you that are using Coaches Console as your website, one of the first things that you want to make sure you do under the website module and under settings is you want to create your website prefix. And again, right now I'm really talking to those that are using Coaches Console as their marketing website. If you already have a website, we can answer some of your questions on the second part of the training. But right now I just want to cover what to do with your domain name, okay? And Claire, I see that you are one of those that you already have an existing website. So let me just make a note of that, and I'll circle back to your questions in the second half of the training, okay? Okay, so the website prefix. The reason it's called a prefix, and you put in your prefix here, like it might be the name of your business, Coaching Beyond, or the Coaching Advantage, whatever your business name is, or it might be your name, Coach Claire, Coach Melinda, something like that. And it's a website prefix because technically you are a subdomain. Your Coaches Console website is a subdomain of our corporate site. That's how you don't have other hosting fees, domain name fees, registration fees, anything like that, right? So you're a subdomain. So whatever you type into the prefix box is going, and you click save, it's going to be followed with .coachesconsole.com. And you can see the URL here in this training account. So you just want to type in whatever, it's typically your business name or your name, all smushed together, no spaces, no wwws, none of that necessary. Type that into the website prefix and click the save button. Now, some of you, one of the questions that we get is, gosh, I'm just getting started. I'm not sure what my business name is going to be. Just type in your name, something like Coach Melinda, or it could be literally, your actual name. Just use that for now, knowing that you can always come back later when you do have a name solidified and you can change that at any point. And so you just want to enter that and click save. And once you click save, then you're going to see your specific URL in your system, like you see here in this training account, is going to be displayed here. And this is your URL. And for those of you that are using Coaches Console as your marketing website, you now have two choices. You can use this URL, and this is the URL that you give out to everybody. You put it on your business cards. You give it to people when they say, hey, can I go and find out more information about you? And this is the URL, coachingbeyond.coachesconsole.com. This is the URL that you would give them. Okay, we have a whole bunch of members that fall into that category. And at any time, whenever you're in your console system, you can always click on the website module here on the left, click on the settings, and you will always see your website prefix and your website URL listed right here. Okay, so you can always catch that here. And if you ever need to use this somewhere, you can simply highlight it, copy, Command C if you're on a Mac, Control C if you're on a PC, copy it and paste it wherever you need to, in an email that you're sending to somebody, and wherever you need to use it, you can copy and paste it. So that's how you use it as a standalone URL. Now, how many of you have a registered domain name, but there's no content? Like if somebody went there, it would say site under construction or something like that, right? So now you have a registered domain name, like I do, for example, www.melindacohen.com. So I have that URL. There's no website attached to it. And so if somebody went there, it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But let's say that I'm going to use my Coaches Console website. I'm going to put all my marketing content there, all my menus and pages, and all my information is going to be on my Coaches Console website. But I really want to use melindacohen.com, the registered domain name. In that scenario, you want to do, it's a technical term, you want to forward your domain name, your registered domain name, to point to your Coaches Console URL. That way, when somebody types in melindacohen.com, automatically they're redirected and my Coaches Console website is displayed. Okay? Yeah, and there's several of you. I see several of you that are typing in that says, yep, I've got a registered domain name, but no content. Now, some of you are saying I have a registered domain name and it has content. So you already have an existing website. So I'm going to talk, Patty, you made that comment, and Jan, along with Claire, you already have content on your existing website. I'll get into that here in just a few minutes. Okay, so sit tight. Now, I want to show you how simple it can be to redirect. So if you have a domain name, and I'm going to use the example melindacohen.com, that has no content, it just has site under construction, or this website does not exist, or some funky phrase like that. I want to show you how simple it can be to forward that domain name to point to your Coaches Console URL. Now I'm going to do this. We've registered all of our domain names through GoDaddy. So I've logged into my GoDaddy account, and I've gone to all of our domain names, and here's melindacohen.com. There's my registered domain name. I have no content. There's no website built for it. It's simply a domain name. I don't want anybody else to get it in case I ever want to use it in the future. So when you log into your console system and you click on domains, and you click on the domain name that you have registered right here, you'll see the Manage button off to the right. Now, I'm using GoDaddy as an example. Most all of you, if you have a registered domain name, we find that a majority of the people use GoDaddy, but you might be using Network Solutions or, gosh, a number of different places. It'll be a similar type process, so you'll understand what you're doing, and then you can just log into wherever you have your domain name registered and accomplish the same result. So in GoDaddy, I'm going to click on Manage, because I want to manage this particular domain name I have registered. And it's going to pull up several options that I can do. Here's my domain name, melindacohen.com. And when I scroll down, I'm under settings. You can see my settings. And then you're going to see something called forwarding. Now, some people call it forwarding, redirecting, pointing, things like that. It's a number of different phrases depending on the company that you have your domain name registered with. And you can see domain, it's not forwarding, it's turned off. And when I click on this manage link, little pop-up box that I can forward and mask, and you are not forwarding this domain, add one now. And when you click on this, it's going to ask you, where do you want to forward this to? And you've got to type in, this is where you would type in. You guys know I can't type and talk at the same time. This is where you would type in the URL that's assigned to your Coaches Console system. Okay. And again, I'm going to switch screens. Let me go back into my console system. Let's say we didn't remember what our URL was. We can go back into our console system. I'm under website. I'm still under settings, and I can simply copy it if I needed to, right? So it's https://coachingbeyond.coachesconsole.com. And I can go back into GoDaddy and enter that. Now you'll see that you've got the options. Everything in your console system has secured pages, so that there's an S on the end. That's one level of security and protection that you have with your console system. And again, you can just type that in. Now, if you know that this is going to be something that you always want to do until you come back here and change it, my recommendation is that you make it permanent, because then it will require you to come back to your GoDaddy account and turn this off. Okay, so most 99.9% of you will want to make it permanent. And then you'll see some forward settings. And I know I'm getting technical here, so if you have any questions, definitely ask, okay? Under forward settings, you'll see forward only or forward with masking. I want to explain what this is. So we're going to stay technical here. Hang with me. You're doing great. So forward only, what that means is when, if I were to give Donna, that's on the training today, if I were to say, hey, Donna, go to my website, go to melindacohen.com. If Donna were to enter melindacohen.com and I only have forward only, then in the browser window, Donna's going to see the URL actually change to be coachingbeyond.coachesconsole.com. So forward only actually changes the URL, and the visitor can see the coachingbeyond.coachesconsole.com. That's what forward only means. If I forward with masking, masking means I don't want them to see the actual URL I'm taking them to, that I'm forwarding them to. I want to hide that. I don't want anybody to see the .coachesconsole.com. I want them to think they're going to melindacohen.com. And so if I were to do the forward with masking, then I would be able to forward them to coachingbeyond.coachesconsole.com. But if somebody types in melindacohen.com, they'll still see melindacohen.com in the URL. So you have a couple of options here. The very basic and the most simple version is forward only. It's easy, it's straight up. People type in melindacohen.com and they're redirected to the page, and they go to my Coaches Console website where all my content lives. And just click add, and that will turn on the forwarding. And it's as simple as that. And then at any time, you can come back and you can change it or stop it or turn it off. Okay. Sylvia says, why does your site look different than mine? Do I have to upgrade? Sylvia, are you talking about GoDaddy? You may just need a different version of GoDaddy, or are you talking about your Coaches Console? So Sylvia, just type that into the webinar. I'm not sure if you're referring to the GoDaddy that I've been looking at or the Coaches Console. Oh yeah, so the Coaches Console, let me just reiterate. So here we are at Coaches Console. This is version 3.0. Right, so for the last several weeks, we've been kind of looking at version 2 to version 3. So this is what version 3 looks like. All boot campers have that. If you've just enrolled into boot camp, you've got this version. Existing members, you still have the current version, version 2, which looks like this. So Sylvia, this is what your system looks like, right? Yeah. And so we're going to be starting the rollout of converting to version 3 in the coming weeks. Okay. So yours does look a little different, but that's why. So in the coming weeks, you're going to get an email from us, Sylvia, that says, hey, you can go to version 3 and then yours, when you convert, will look like this. Okay. Okay. Now let's go through a couple of questions that some folks have. Let's see. So Wendy, you have a question. When I forward my domain name, do you get control of it? I'm not sure what you mean by do you get control of it, but when I just walked through, like if you have wendyconrad.com, let's say that's your registered domain name. When you forward it, you have a choice. You can forward it so when somebody types in, and that's that forward only or forward with masking. So the way you have control of it is forward only. If somebody were to type in wendyconrad.com, for example, then they would be redirected, and what would show in the URL is wendyconrad.coachesconsole.com or whatever your Coaches Console URL is. Okay. Or you can choose the forward with masking. So you do have control based on the choice you make right here. For just getting started, if you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I have no idea, then what I would tell you to do is just pick forward only, and that's all you need to know. Just forward only, be done, make it simple. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just choose the forward only. So if you're in that spot of, oh my gosh, what is she talking about? Then you want to do the forward only. Okay. Let's see. Couple more questions, and then I'm going to go through what you can do if you have an existing website. Yeah, and Lindsay says, I think I need a totally different website. You've got your existing website for your massage and body work, and that's going to be a different business. That's right, Lindsay. So you would continue to use your Back Creek Massage and Body Work website. You would keep that up, and that would be where you send all your massage clients, because that's a completely different business. And then with your Coaches Console website, that's where you can set up your coaching and the services that you want to provide to those kind of clients. So you would use your Coaches Console website for marketing your coaching type of services. Okay. Lynn asks a question. So you wouldn't want to point your domain name to Coaches Console until your Coaches Console is populated and ready to go. That's absolutely right, Lynn. So redirecting or forwarding, like I've been showing you, that's the last step. If you are just getting started and you're setting up your console system and you're going into your website and you're choosing your theme and you're customizing your theme and you're setting up the menus and the pages and the content, I would recommend that you do that first. And once you have that initial version of your website done, then the final step would be to redirect and forward your registered domain name. Absolutely, that's a great point, Lynn. Oh, Claire says, this is great. Claire says, Melinda Cohen is the website of an actress. You guys didn't know I was famous, did you? I'm just kidding. Claire spells it C-O-H-E-N, and my last name is spelled C-O-H-A-N. So if you go to Melinda Cohen, COHAN.com, nothing's there. But maybe I'll be an actress one day. Who knows? Ed asked for clarification. There was a drop down for HTTP or HTTPS. So when you redirect and you add that forwarding to your registered domain name, here's what Ed's talking about. You can choose the HTTP or HTTPS. Everything in your console system, just think of it as this way. Everything in your console system, we want to make sure is secured. So everything in your console system has secured pages. We want to protect your information. And as a result, it's HTTPS. That S is for secured. They're secured type pages. And so whenever you're forwarding, you always want to choose that HTTPS, S for secured, and then type in whatever your specific URL is. So Ed, you would enter your Coaches Console URL in this field. Okay. Margarita has a question. When you point the URL to the Coaches Console page, do you lose the ability to have an email associated with my domain name? Absolutely not. In fact, that's one of the cool things. When you register a domain name, you usually get anywhere from 1 to 3 or maybe 5 emails. So you could have margarita@mycoachingbusiness.com. You could have info@mycoachingbusiness.com, and you can have a couple different email addresses. So it does not, just because you redirect or forward, doesn't mean you lose that ability. You still can have those emails associated with your domain name. Great clarification, Margarita. Jean asks a question. Jean says, if you redirect the domain name only, can the domain name ever have content added to it on a website? Well, that's where, okay, let's just kind of break that down, Jean. So initially, if you're going to redirect, so you have a registered domain name without content, but you want people to see content when they go to jeanplummer.com, for example. And so you might use your Coaches Console website initially as your website. So when people enter jeanplummer.com, they're redirected to your Coaches Console website. And the template's going to look something like this. You'll customize it for yourself, right? Now, let's say a little bit later, you've been in business for 6 months or a year, or a couple years, and you're like, you know what? I want to customize my own website specific to whatever reason. You want to customize your own website. So you would go out and you would customize a website. That's when you would stop forwarding jeanplummer.com, because you would then build out using something like a WordPress. You would no longer use your Coaches Console website, and you would use something like a WordPress or something else to create an external website, jeanplummer.com, and you would stop the redirect. Okay, so you would have to turn that off. And then your Coaches Console website wouldn't be used for marketing. It would just be used as your private client portal where clients can log in and have access to the private material. These are great questions. Let's keep going with some more. Darlene asked the question, I'm going to use my main branded website for online content because of branding. So you have an external website already. Great. When opting in for marketing info, is it okay if I use Coaches Console for managing my autoresponders? Absolutely. And you know what, Darlene? Let me just make a note. I'm going to come back to that in just a few minutes because we have a couple more questions about the redirect and the domain name. Let me go through those, and then when we open it up to general questions, like I'm going to go back with Claire and some of the others, I'll get back to your question in just a second. So sit tight, Darlene, okay? All right, let's see. We've got a couple more questions. Let's go through those. Sandy says, I don't see where you added Melinda Cohen. I only see where you have Coaching Beyond. So in my Coaches Console system, I'm in my console system, Sandy, and under website settings, I've created the website prefix, and I've clicked saved. And so this is the URL that's assigned to my Coaches Console website, right? I have to set that up, whether I have an existing website or not, or a registered domain name or not, I have to create a website prefix. And this is the URL associated with that. Now, separately, years ago, I wanted to make sure that nobody got my name as a domain name. And so I went to GoDaddy and I purchased melindacohen.com, separately, unrelated to Coaches Console, has nothing to do with Coaches Console. And I went to GoDaddy and I purchased that domain name, melindacohen.com. That's where I created that. I pay X amount of dollars, I forget, X amount of dollars per year to have this domain name in case I ever want to use it. So when I log into my GoDaddy account with this domain name that's just sitting there, if somebody types it in, there's no content, I want people to begin to see content. And so when I go into GoDaddy and I click on this domain name, there is a forwarding option. And I can forward melindacohen.com, and I can forward that to my Coaches Console URL. And I can click add, and that will turn on. I'm not going to do it right now, but I could do that. And I would click add, and that's going to turn on the redirect. Okay. So I added Melinda Cohen years ago. I purchased that registered domain name from GoDaddy. Right. Okay. Carol has a question. Carol says, or comments, you said it would be better to go to masking to keep our domain name pure. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. If I wanted people to only see melindacohen.com, then I would choose the forward with masking. And that way when they type in melindacohen.com in the URL, here, let me add a new, hang on one second. So here we are on a blank page, blank website. If somebody typed in melindacohen.com, well, I really can't type and talk. If somebody were to type that and I did the forward with masking, then it's going to show the content on my Coaches Console website, but it's going to maintain melindacohen.com in the browser window. So like you said, Carol, it'll keep your domain name pure. That's forward with masking. Okay. Okay. And Karen asks, can you summarize one more time the forward only versus forward with masking? I want to hide the longer name so there is less for clients to type. So Karen, I think, this is Karen Miller-Wise, I think I just did that. Just type in Karen and give me a, yep, that makes sense, or no, go through it one more time. I'm happy to go through it again, okay? So type that in. Type that in and let me know if that gave you the clarification. So the forward with masking allows somebody to type in, for example, my registered domain name, melindacohen.com, and my content would show on my website, my web pages, that would display, but the URL would remain melindacohen.com. Okay, great, she's got it. Okay, some more questions. Let's keep going. You guys are doing excellent. All right, Debbie says, I have a newly created website, but they have to pay a monthly hosting and marketing fee for blog postings and social media emails and tweets. It is expensive, and I'm frustrated with the limited ability to do what Coaches Console does. It's pretty, but not working in my business. That's the kicker right there, Debbie. There's so many things out there that are pretty, and it feels good, but it doesn't get you contacts on your list. It doesn't get sample sessions booked. That's a lot of stuff it doesn't do. Now, you say it's pretty, but it's not working for my business. It is a WordPress, but I also have to pay a tech every time you want to add a product or etc. If it were you, I'm a brand new coach, would you go back to GoDaddy hosting only and fire the current hoster and do a forwarding to direct people to Coaches Console, or would you deactivate the whole site? Well, Debbie, let me ask you this, and this is Debbie Simbera, I think is how you say your last name. The question I would ask you is, on your existing website, if you were able to add opt-in forms and a calendar link on your existing website so it is functioning, would that help? My guess is it would, because in your console system, and this is what Claire was asking about earlier, in your console system, you can create custom opt-in forms and you can add them to existing websites. So it might be pretty and you might want to keep it if you have the ability to add opt-in forms, or is it fixed and you can only use the template and the pages that they give you? So it depends on the kind of template that you have, but if you can add custom opt-in forms and you on a page where you say, hey, you want to book a sample session with me, if you can give a calendar link, now this pretty website can begin to work for you. So you may want to keep it as long as that's possible. Okay. And if not, then, if it's not working for you, I would take that content that you have on that site and I would create it in your Coaches Console system. A lot of people in boot camp, in past sessions of boot camp, they've been in that same boat. They have a pretty website, but it's not working for them. It doesn't get them contacts added to their list. It doesn't get sample sessions booked. It's not automating the follow-up when people opt in. And so they will ditch this pretty website. It's not effective. They'll copy their content and paste it into their Coaches Console website and have a functioning, effective website. Okay. Debbie says, it has an opt-in through MailChimp, but they don't allow me to add improved free products without an extra fee. It sounds like it is very limiting for you, that if you want to do anything to actually make it work, you got to pay them more money. That's not my kind of business model. That's my own personal opinion. I'm very biased. I'm one that would use Coaches Console website so that I can actually do what I want to do with it. Yeah, that's how I would respond to that, Debbie. Okay, a few more questions. Let's see here. Okay. Oh gosh, you guys are asking such great questions. Let's see if we can get them all in. Hang on, I'm going to catch up with all of you. Let's see, where were we? Okay. Another question came in. I would like to use Coaches Console for clients only. Would I just have to create a login button? Okay, let's go ahead and address that right now because this was Claire's question earlier. Patty is in the same boat, and many of you. So right now, I want to share with and talk with those of you that already have an existing website. So the rest of you sit tight for a second. And for those of you that have an existing website, let me share an example with you. It's one that I share all the time, so you guys are going to get very familiar with this. Okay, meet Val. A lot of you know about Val. Val is one of our members. This is actually her real website. She's an amazing coach, very good at what she does. And this website she already had built, and it was in existence when she started using Coaches Console. And she wanted to keep using it because it was effective and it was working for her, and she liked it. So she kept using it. And then what you're going to see is in the upper right. So Claire, this is your question, and several others. She simply added a menu to her existing website. So step one, add a menu to your existing website. And like Lindsay, you were saying that you have already an existing website for your massage clients. You might want to add a client login menu to that existing massage website so that your massage clients can log in and get to information you want them to access. Forms, downloads, information. So step one is to add a client login, just a menu to your existing website. Depending on, some of you manage your own existing websites, you would log in and you would create that menu. Some of you work with a website designer, you would call your website designer and say, yo, designer, add a menu labeled client login. Now, this menu, when you add it, it has to be linked to a URL. So when it's just a label, a menu is just a label. And when somebody clicks on that menu, they have to be taken to a URL. And while I hover my mouse in the upper right over client login, I want everybody to look way down in the very lower left, way at the lower left. You'll see a tiny little pop-up box that shows you https://valnelson.coachesconsole.com. I can't move my cursor, it'll disappear. I've got to keep my cursor hovered over the menu. So while my cursor is over that menu, everybody look in the lower left at the very bottom of that big black swan on Val's site, and you'll see that little pop-up box because her client login menu that she added to her existing website, it's linked to her Coaches Console URL. Okay, so Patty, Claire, there was several of you that were asking about how do I connect if I have an existing website. If you have some of you were saying, I have a registered domain name, but there's content on there and I want to keep using that content. This is what you would do. You would go to, and you would add a client login menu, and that would be linked to your Coaches Console URL. And then what happens is, just like with Val's clients, when they click on client login, it opens up, and this is her Coaches Console website template. And she's customized her Coaches Console website template with the background color to match her existing brand. She uploaded her logo to match her existing website. She uploaded her header image to match her existing website's brand. So the brands are consistent, and then her clients can log in. And they can log into her private client website portal, and this is her website template with Coaches Console. Okay? So that's how you would do that. So all of you that have existing websites, and Claire just said, great, this is what I would want to do. Yep, this is exactly what you want to do. And Oksana, the same with you. Yep, and so you can, this is what you would, this is how you would do it. Add that menu and redirect it, well, not redirect it, but with that menu, link it to your Coaches Console URL. Okay. Okay, several more questions. Joanna says, is this webinar recorded? And if so, can I watch it again? Absolutely. We record all of these trainings because you know what's happening. I know this is what would happen for me. I'd be like, okay, that was great information. Now I want to go, after this training is done, I get it. Now I want to go start the recording and I want to see where Melinda clicks, and I'm going to pause that recording. And then I'm going to go into my own system and do what she tells me. And I'm going to do that and click save. And then I'm going to play the recording a little bit. And that way you can click and watch and play in your own pace and apply what you learn in the training. So Joanna, the recordings, we do record them. Most of the time they are up by the end of the business day. And when you're in your console system, all of these, just the Tuesdays at 2 trainings, just these weekly trainings that we're talking about here, when you go into the customer support, when you click on customer support and you scroll down, you're going to see the Tuesdays at 2 option right here. Do you see this little guy? This is where we archive all the recordings for these Tuesday trainings. So when you click on this, you're going to see all the topics that we've ever done. And so you'll always have access to the most current versions. And by section, you'll see the archive trainings, right? So this would be under website. So you would scroll down and it's going to be listed under website and it's going to be domain name. Okay. And you can always find those. They're always there and you can come back at any time and you can watch them as many times as you need to or want to. Okay. Donna asks, on the masking, would the forwarding with masking be sent from only one page on an existing website like About Coaching? On the masking, would the forwarding with masking be sent from only one page? So if you have a registered domain name, Donna, when you do the forwarding, it's going to go to the home page of your Coaches Console website or whatever page you forward or redirect it to. Okay. Marcia also asked, how can I work with my existing website in the Coaches Console? Marcia, just type into the webinar box, and when I showed you Val's example by adding that client login menu, did that answer your question? Just give me a quick yes or no. And I just want to make sure that you got that question answered. Yep, okay, great, good deal. Let's see here. And Marcia also asked, so this means I have to create the URL as you were explaining before. Yeah, there's 2 things that you have to do to accomplish what I've shown you. The first step is in your Coaches Console website. Under settings, you've got to create the URL that's assigned to your Coaches Console website. It's the first step. And then you've got to go into, like I was going into GoDaddy because that's where my registered domain name is. So then the second step is you have to, if you don't have a registered domain name and want one, you got to go get it. You got to buy that. And then you can redirect it. Okay. And Jan, I see your question about the scheduling. Let's sit tight on that. I want to go back and answer Darlene's question right now about that custom opt-in form. So I'm going to go back and use Val's example. Actually, no, just kidding. I'm going to use this example. So here's another existing website. This is not a Coaches Console website template. It's an existing website built on a different platform, has nothing to do with Coaches Console. And there is an opt-in form right here. And this is what Darlene was talking about. If I want to manage, I want to keep my existing website, but I want to manage my contacts and my opt-in autoresponders from my console system, can I do that? And the answer is yes, Darlene. And so you can create, we call it a custom opt-in form, and you can add it like you see here. Wow, this is kind of crazy when I highlight. But you can add in this form on an existing website. So when somebody comes here and they type in their name and they fill in the fields with this information, and when they click subscribe, their contact information is going to go to your Coaches Console contact list. They'll be grouped into this opt-in form, and they'll start receiving the autoresponders associated with this opt-in form. So you're managing everything from your Coaches Console system while still using your existing website. Okay. So Darlene, if I'm going through and as I'm describing this, I'm about to show you how to create a custom opt-in form. If you have any questions, type them into the webinar box. Okay. So this is what the end result looks like, this opt-in form on an existing website. Let me go show you how I would create that. So in my console system, I'm in website. And this is the same whether you're using version 3 for all of your new boot campers, or you're using version 2 if you're an existing member and you haven't converted to version 3 yet, you haven't been converted. The same exact steps that I'm about to take are true. So you would click on website and you would click on custom opt-in forms and you would create an opt-in. So that opt-in is where people leave their name and email address. And you would choose a name, and it might be something like free report, whatever it is. Free report XYZ. The name of your free report as an example. What you'll notice is when I create a name, my system is also going to create a group with that same name, and anybody that's on my existing website and puts in their name and email and clicks subscribe, they're going to be organized into that group so you can keep track of where people opt in and where people find you from. Okay. So when I'm in that opt-in, that custom opt-in wizard, the first step is to create a name in the group. And then you can set up your autoresponders. And usually with an opt-in form, the first one is to, here's your report as promised. Download your free report. Click here. And then you can hyperlink it. I'm not going to go in. We've got other trainings that talk about how to customize your autoresponders, the delayed of sending and hyperlinking and all that. I'm not going to go through that here. But what I want to say is you can create your autoresponder messages. You can create your thank you page that's displayed when somebody opts in. And then the very last step, Darlene, step 4, opt-in code, right here, use on external website. And you want to copy and paste this HTML code to display that form on your website. So I'm going to click Get HTML Code. I'm going to click this link. Funny box is going to show up and it's going to have funky looking information. You do not have to understand it. You cannot break it. You cannot make anything go wrong. When you click inside this box, it highlights everything and then you just copy. Command C, Control C. So you copy it. And then you would go into your existing website, Darlene, and I would go into, wherever I manage my website from, and you would paste in that code so it displays wherever you want that form to show up. Okay, then it's a form and everything's managed from your console system. And so Darlene says, in other words, will we now be using a new email list? Works for me. I'm just getting started getting people to opt in. Yeah. So when you use that custom opt-in form and you add that custom opt-in form to your existing website, now when somebody's name is added and they click subscribe, in your console system under contacts, those people will be added as prospects and they will be added to the group free gift XYZ, whatever you name that opt-in form. So they'll be added as prospects, and that way all of your contacts are being organized and run from here. So that's one thing that's being managed from your console system. The other thing that's being managed is that custom opt-in form had a series of autoresponders. Those are also being controlled and managed from your console system. Okay. Margarita says, in theory, can you change out your opt-in forms, not keep the same one for more than 3? Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things you'll notice, Margarita, is, when I'm under website custom opt-in forms, look at all these opt-in forms. Now, this is a training console system, so they have funny names. But yeah, you can have an unlimited number of opt-in forms and you can keep putting them on different pages. You can keep changing them out, things like that. Absolutely, you can have as many as you want. Devora asks, I was about to launch my site when I signed up with you a few days ago. Should I hold off on the launch or keep going and redirect to Coach's Console when it's ready? Well, you know, Devorah, when you say I was about to launch my site, what that tells me is you have a registered domain name and you have put content on pages and you have built out your site and it is ready for people to start visiting. If that's the case, go ahead and launch it. And then as you go through, if you're going through boot camp, as you're going through boot camp, you can, we'll walk you through how to make sure you add in elements like a custom opt-in form, your calendar link, and things like that to make sure your existing site is effective and you're managing everything from your Coaches Console system. Okay, great. All right, let's go back. We've got a few more questions. Let me get back to where we were in the list. Oh, here's a little side note. Elizabeth says, do you record the trainings just through GoToWebinar or do you have GoToTraining? We use GoToWebinar. We use GoToWebinar for everything, no matter if it's a promotion, if it's a teleclass, if it's a training, we use GoToWebinar for everything. Okay, little side note. Let's see here. Okay, Jan, you were asking about the scheduling, and Jan says, can you schedule people who want a free discovery session but aren't clients yet? Absolutely. So there's a couple things for you to do, Jan. The first is you have to set up available time on your calendar so that they can schedule something. So when you're in your console calendar, and this is what I'm about to show you is true in version 3 and also for existing members, in version 2, it's the same exact thing. So in your console calendar, you're going to see blocks of available time because prospects, people that aren't clients yet that book that sample session, that discovery session as you call it, Jan, you know, they can only book an appointment based on blocks of available time that you've set up in advance. So when you click on available time, you would say, I want to schedule a block of available time for, and you could say all contacts, or you could specifically say, this is for sample sessions. And you might, you might say, I'm going to be in the office on Thursdays from at 8 o'clock. And so if somebody wants to book a session with me, they can. And so you can do an individual slot, or you can do, maybe every Thursday at 8 o'clock, you're going to be sitting in your office working on projects. And if somebody wants to schedule, you can do it. So you can do repeating, but you can save that to your calendar and you'll see there, it just added it, a block of available time. Okay. Prospects, when they come to, let me show you what it looks like from a prospect's perspective. So when a prospect comes to your website, for example, let me open up that website screen. So when they come, here's a sample website, here's the template. Now yours, Jan, would be branded with your logo, whatever background color you chose, your header image, whatever. But one of the options that's built into your console website is this complimentary consultation. Now you can customize the text, right? I call it a complimentary consultation. Jan, you call it a discovery session. So you can customize the text, but it gives the ability for a prospect to click. And when they click, they're taken to your scheduling window. And whatever blocks of available time you've set up, it's going to display it. And they can see, oh my gosh, there's only one slot left. So I better book it. And then your prospects, they can see the calendar, they can view it. Maybe you're on the East Coast and your clients are on the West Coast. So they can say, I'm on Pacific time, and it'll refresh and it will show 5 a.m. It'll convert it. So they're looking at it in their time zones. There's no confusion with time zone. And if they want to get up that early, they can book it. And then your prospects would simply click, complete the form to schedule the new appointment, and click schedule. Then they're added to your console calendar, and then the day before they receive an appointment reminder, right? Jan says, what if we don't have a calendar yet? You do with Coaches Console. It's built right in. So now you have a calendar. So in your console website, Jan, you'll see when you log into your Coaches Console system, you'll see here on the left, calendar. You now have an online calendar. It's part of your Coaches Console system. It's built in and it's integrated. Okay. So now you can start doing exactly what I just showed you, because that's your online calendar. You don't need anything else. And Jan just said, yay. Excellent. Okay. Wendy says, can we type in the text for the appointment reminder, or do you have that programmed? We have it programmed, Wendy, so the content, the message that's the appointment reminder, we already have that default, and you can customize it. In your console system, Wendy, if you want to customize it, excuse me, you'll see in the upper right, my account. And we're going to go through this in boot camp next week. But there is notification templates. Any notification that comes from your console system, we pre-format it for you, and actually you never have to change it. We have a lot of our members that never edit these, and it works beautifully. And if you want to customize it, Wendy, you'll see here's the appointment reminder, and you can customize whatever you need to. You'll see all the replacement tags that you can use. I'm not going to get into that in this training. I'll just mention it and show it to you, and you can customize it and save your changes. So you can customize what that reminder looks like. Okay. And Wendy says, awesome. And Jan says, just as a reminder, my website's private until we create the public part. That's exactly right. Yep. Okay. John says, can sample session requests be linked to an autoresponder with pre-session attachments to send them? They're not associated with an autoresponder, John. They are associated with a website appointment reminder, and in that appointment reminder, you can link it to a call strategy form, so the appointment can be linked to a call strategy form, but it's not associated with a autoresponder series directly. What you can do, John, is in your console system, you can create a custom autoresponder series, and you can call it sample session AR series, something like that. And you can add messages. And then when you get notified, when you see that, oh, Susie just booked a session with me, and you see that prospect just booked on your calendar, you could manually send this autoresponder sequence to that person. So that's how you can accomplish that. Okay. Okay, we've got about 3 more minutes. Oh, and Wendy says, as a reminder, appointment reminder, what do we as the coach get? You get the date, you get the time in your time zone, you get the client's contact information if you need it. That's in your reminder. And what you're customizing in the notification template, Wendy, is what the clients would receive. And Devora says, a huge sigh of relief. What service? Excellent. I'm so glad. Leona says, can I publish the calendar at this time? My coach's console is not ready yet. When somebody clicks on your calendar link, I mean, you have a calendar URL, right? So under website, under settings, there is a specific and direct link that goes to your scheduling page. You'll see it here. So you can just use that URL. But what you'll notice is the scheduling page is your website. So you want to make sure your logo is up. You want to make sure your header graphic is displayed, and you want to make sure your background color is selected. That's all you need. You don't have to have any other menus, or you can turn off your menus if you're not ready for people to see them yet. And then you can add those menus in when they are. Okay. Lori says, are you seeing my questions? You know what, Lori? I'm doing my absolute best. There's about 12 more questions that I've got to get through, and I'm going to try to go through them quickly. Let me find where you are, Lori. Okay, Lori, here's one of your questions. Can I forward more than one domain name to my coach's console site? Absolutely. You just go through that same process that I showed you earlier. Like we have, oh my gosh, Kate and I have probably 8 different domain names registered, right? Because we don't know what we're going to get involved in or what we're going to start doing. And so when we have an idea, we register a domain name, and we might use it, we might not. But yeah, if you have multiple domain names, you can point them all to your one console system. Okay, Lori, did you have any other questions? Let me just scroll through here and see if there's any others from Lori. I tell you what, Lori, if you have another question, that's the only one I'm seeing from you. If you have others, then retype it into the webinar box, and I'll pick that up, okay? All right, let's see here. Virginia says, so I will need to find out if my GoDaddy website allows me to add a client login link to Coach's Console. If you have built your website using GoDaddy, then if you're able to add menus to your website, you can add a client login menu, because that's what you're doing. You're adding a menu. So that's what you want to check out. Okay. It's a WordPress website. Oh yeah. So if you have a WordPress website, you simply add a menu, Virginia, and that menu is linked to your Coaches Console URL, just like I showed you with Val's example. Okay. Catherine asked a question, and I'm gonna stay on the line for about 2 or 3 more minutes. So I'm gonna try to go through these really quickly, and I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So if you have to hop off, know that it's recorded. You can catch it at the end, but I'm gonna stay on and answer just a few more questions. Catherine says, where do we see pages of web status listed, like draft, published, custom only? In your console system, all your pages, Catherine, are listed under website pages. And there's not a status of this is in draft form and this is published. When you create a page, it's available for people to click on if they have the link. Now, if you don't want people to access it, then you just simply don't attach it to a menu, and you can still have it in draft version. Okay. If you're recording a session, Catherine has another question. If you're recording a session and you want to upload a file, do you have to have it hosted? You would need to record that session using something like a Bridgeline, teleconference.com, or a Bridgeline, or Audio Acrobat, or you would have to have a program that records your session, and then that program would give you a link or code, and you can add that into your console system. You can add that into if you click on, let's say you've recorded a session with Helen. That's what the client log is great for, Catherine. You can take that URL and you can add a new entry, and you can say, here's your session recording. And then you could even do something like create a link, and you can hyperlink to it. If you do, if you've got a Google Hangout and you have a URL because you want to upload that, you can do it that way. So you can add a link or video, either way. Okay. Let's see. Can a free gift be put on the front page of an existing website? Yeah, you can do, let me go back here. One of the things that we've pre-configured for you, Jean, is we've added the opt-in form on the side column of your website, so you can turn that on. Or if you don't want that, you can turn that off, and you don't have to have content. You can just have an opt-in form right on your page, so you have the ability to do that using that custom opt-in form. Okay. Marcia says, right now I send out newsletters using MailChimp. Does Coaches Console handle that? It sure does. In your console system, under Communicate, you'll see the ability to create and send newsletters. And we have a whole training on doing that. So you can check that out as well. Claire asks, just found out how to upload a logo. Excellent. So you're on your way to branding your site. Is there any other position than the top left-hand corner? The template is fixed. So your logo's in the upper left. You have the background color. Your header image is across the top. You can turn that on or off. Your menus are horizontal across the top. Your page content is displayed here. And then if you have any action items, side boxes, they're displayed down the right side column. So that is a fixed template, and you can add your logo, pick the header, choose the background, so on, customize the text, but the location of those elements is fixed. Okay. Oksana says, I already have an opt-in form that's connected with MailChimp. Would you advise to disconnect it from MailChimp and use Coaches Console? What won't I be able to do if I don't use MailChimp? If it's working for you and you like MailChimp and you've been using it for a while, it's not broken, you can keep using it. You're just using multiple technologies to manage things. It's certainly possible, like I showed you earlier when I was answering Darlene's question, you can create a custom opt-in form in your console system, Oksana. Under website, you've got the custom opt-in forms, and you can use those to add them to your website. And then everything's managed. Your autoresponders and your contact list is all in Coaches Console. You can certainly do that. And your question is, what won't I be able to do if I don't use MailChimp? Design, colors. you know, the form that you create is simply, it's just a basic form. Like, let me show you that example again. You know, just the fields, first name, last name, email, it's just the fields. And so on your page, you can, you know, you can customize whatever content you want associated with that form. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Do we, there's still, you guys are just, you've got all kinds of questions. I love it. And, can I change the picture in the template? Darlene is asking, can I change the header image? You sure can. When you customize your website template, under website theme, click preview and customize, and you can choose the header image. We've got several uploaded for you, or you can upload your own custom one if you want to. Okay. All right, we're going to wrap up. I'm pretty sure that there are other questions that I did not get to. And if that's the case, head over to the Facebook group, either the Coaches Console Members Mastermind Facebook group, or if you're in boot camp, you can head to the boot camp Facebook group, either place. If your question did not get answered, or if this training brought up some additional questions after you start going to work on your stuff, head to that Facebook group and post your questions there. Kate and I will see them. Our tech team is in there. We've got our certified virtual assistants in there, and we'll get you the information that you're looking for, okay? So thank you, everybody. It was a phenomenal call, a great training, amazing questions, and we'll be back here again for another topic. You'll see right on your dashboard the topics. So next week, we're going to really get into pages and menus and sidebar boxes, so we're going to talk about that. So register if you haven't already, and we'll see you there next week. Until then, we'll see you in the Facebook group. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.